Hey everybody, looks like we are live. Let me just double check and see if we are in fact live. I'm on Facebook and YouTube at the same time. And isn't technology fantastic? I'm able to go ahead and give you guys a free art lesson, which is a lot of fun. And I hope you guys are here and ready to enjoy this. Let me turn off the air conditioner. I'll even
Hey
sweat.
everybody, looks like we are live. Let me just double check and see if we are in fact live. I'm on Facebook and YouTube at the same time. And isn't technology fantastic?
Okay, so here we are, and today we're gonna draw lips. And lips are very interesting. I mean, they are such an important part of any portrait in Western art and tradition. Lips have been the cornerstone of all artwork, basically. All the great paintings and drawings, lips have been one of the most important, if not the most important thing there. So tonight, that's what we're going to concentrate on. Before I actually go into the actual lips, I want to go over some things. Hey Cheryl, how you doing? Good to see you. So glad you're here. So the first thing I want to go over just some of the principles of lips and what they're about. And one of the things that whenever you draw a lip, you always want to start out with, let me see if I can darken my image here so you can see. Let me go back here. Okay, there, you guys can see me. So you want to start with the line. That's the first thing you want to start with. And when you start with the line, that's going to be the center part where the upper and lower lips always meet. So whenever you do lips, always start there, and you'll be in good shape. Now there's always an upper and lower lip, and usually the lower lip is larger than the upper lip. The upper lip, if you divide your lips in so you want to point out where your lips end on both sides. And when you do that, now this is just a practice. This is not the Gal Gadot lips we're doing. I'm just showing you good ways to start a drawing of your lips. And then you want to go right in the center. Right in the center is going to help you. So you have where your lips end and in the center. Now, in the center of where your lips are, you want to go ahead and just do like a V, but not from the very bottom, just a little bit further up. Like I would say, just pretend it's, maybe. So if this is like 4 inches, this would be probably a ½ an inch up, just like that. So you do a little V, and then what you want to do is you want to connect the corners with the top of that V. So you see that? And you don't want to do it with a straight line, sort of like a curved line, just like that. And that would be, hey, how you doing? I did. Oh, okay. Let me see if I can send that to you, Denise. No problem. Actually, I'll put the link right here in the comments, okay? So there's the link right there. You can see it in the comments, Denise. Hey, Gloria, how are you today? And then as you go, of course, you're going to be cleaning up your pencil lines, right? So that's what you would normally start out with with lips. Okay? So right there in the description is the lips, Denise. So it's good to see you, Denise. Good to see you, Gloria. So glad you guys are here. Hey, David, good to see you. How's everything, my friend? So glad you're here. That is great. So we have our, oh, okay. So I have it in, Denise, I just put it in my comment section of my YouTube page, which is going live right now. Hey, Catherine, good morning. How are you? So glad you can be here. Now, remember I said that the lower lip is almost always larger than the upper lip. So you want to do it larger, but not much larger, maybe 1.5 of this. So it's like a 1:5 ratio from the upper to lower lips usually. Ah, so good to see you as well. Definitely, Gloria. And so remember, you have your center line. So what you want to do is you want to just go ahead and sort of connect like that. That would be how I would start lips out of my head. Now, of course, with lips, it's a little interesting because it's not always a straight line. Sometimes it's a straight line, but usually the way lips work. Oh, okay, let me go put it on my YouTube real quick for you. No problem whatsoever. Let's see. So I'm going to go to my YouTube channel. And I'll just go to the live and the comments. Okay, Denise, there it is. I have that up there for you. So on the YouTube channel, which is pretty cool. Okay, so it's 1 to 1.5. That is the ratio from the upper to lower lips. Usually, not always. And going back here in the center of the lips, it always goes down a little bit in the center like this. Just a little bit. If you notice with your own lips, a lot of times you'll see most people have the lips going down in the center. And then it goes in and then tucks out like that. So you see that? Just those little things really make a big difference on whether or not your lips look real, okay? Also, when you are doing lips, usually on the end, it's the line is much thicker in the corners of the lips. And this is something that you can do if you're doing lips out of your head. It will really be, how do you say, very, very easy to do realistic looking lips out of your head. So that's what I want you to do. And then we're going to do lips from a photograph and see how these different different techniques work, you know. And so let's go and go to the next part here. Bring that down. Let's see if I could. Okay, cool. So as you see, we do just like that, and then in between where this little bow comes down, a little darker there, thinner there. Now, you see how this is coming down like this? Almost always in the corner of the mouth, this line sort of disappears. You see this part of the lip because it's coming forward and it's causing a cast shadow, but right here, this corner of the lips almost disappear as we go over there. Now, when ladies put on lipstick, of course it pronounces it, but normally you would not see that edge all the way up. So that's one thing to look for. So let's go ahead and clean that up. Like I said, this is a practice lip. Practice lips to show you just some of the principles of if you want to do lips out of your head, which is really cool, you can do that. Now, this part of the lip, not all the way to the corner of the mouth, usually has a cast shadow. And something you can do is just give it a very simple cast shadow, just like that. And what that will do, it gives structure to her lips. And now what you do is you just go ahead and you shade this in. So let's say you want to do comic book art, or you just want to, fool around and doodle. You can do lips, and that's pretty cool. And you can use your toilet paper, and you just use your toilet paper to go ahead and smudge this in. I'm using a stump here, but toilet paper works. And then once again, you just go ahead and you just clean that up once more. And as you clean up, so guys, how is the sound and the picture quality? Is it okay? Be brutal. I definitely want to give you guys the best quality. And so as we're going, we're definitely cleaning up, right? You always want to clean up as you're going. So Gloria, how's your lips coming out so far? Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate that, Denise. Oh, thank you, Catherine. I appreciate that. So as we're going, we're just cleaning up the edge work, making sure, you always want to make it beautiful during all all stages, as beautiful as you can. You don't want it to be too messy and then have a lot to clean up afterwards. Oh, good, David. That's great. So David has earphones, so that's fantastic. Always quality is always better with earphones. Am I right? That's now. So here's another principle when painting lips. When you are painting or drawing lips, oh, so your lips are going okay, Gloria. That's good. And so I want to see a picture of your lips when you're done, and the drawing of your lips. And what I'm going to do is we're going to do the blend in the upper lips, but not as dark as the cast shadow. It's always going to be a little bit lighter. You see that? Always a little bit lighter than the cast shadow, but the upper lip is always, always, always darker than the lower lip. Reason being is that the light is usually coming from above and the lips cut inward, so the light is not hitting it, you know? Yes, Gloria, you can send it to me via Messenger. So once you go ahead and remember we did lightly shading, so those who have been following me know that you can do light shading and, you shade, when you shade like darker values, you put more pressure, but here you're not going to put too much pressure on your lips because it's a medium shading here, a medium value. Okay, so you see that and how that is coming together. And if we go back to, let me go see what's happening in Facebook world. Oh, great. Thank you, Cheryl and Natalie. I appreciate that for the sound and picture check over there in Facebook. So we got Facebook and YouTube going at the same time, which is very exciting. And I'm so glad you guys are here. Now here's the trick. You want to make sure that the cast shadow is nice and dark, darker than this. Now in between here and here, you're going to do the lower lip. The lower lip is not white, so what we're going to do is we're going to even lighter, we're going to shade in the lower lip. Now that's very important. So as you see, once you do that, you can make sure you put a lot of shading on that. And then you take your TP or your your stump, as I have here, a paper stump, and you just lightly blend that in. If you have the TP, you want to do circular motions. That's very important. If you do circular motions, it'll keep from having weird streaks in your lips, and that's not something you want. So it might be that you have to go ahead and maybe darken those top lip a little bit more because they're basically the same value, and you're going to go ahead and darken them a little bit more. Not as dark as this dark line in between the two lips. That's your darkest dark. You never want to go as dark as that, and not as dark as your cast shadow. So you're going to shade that in just like that. Now value, the word value means how dark it is from white to dark. So if it's white or black or anything between, those are called values. So whenever you hear me say values, that's basically how exactly dark is that. So once that's done, you're going to take your stump again. You're going to do your circular motions. And you see now you have this darker value. Now if there's ever a time like right there, sometimes might be an imperfection in the paper or whatnot, you can just tap with your eraser. If you have a kneaded eraser, that's great. If not, you can just lightly tap on there and then just very lightly with your pencil. Remember, the less pressure you put on your pencil, the lighter your pencil mark is going to be. The more pressure you put on your pencil, the darker your pencil lines are going to be. So remember that. So, and then here, although we didn't extend the cast shadow up here, we're going to go ahead and extend this value all the way to the corner of the mouth without an outline. So you see that now it's starting to look a little more realistic. Then in the very center, just where it meets the lip, you're going to make it even darker. Because where the lip actually meets the cast shadow, that's where the less light is actually hitting her face. So that's going to be very dark, just on the bottom here. There you go. Now remember that your lips are also the same way we did the egg, the same way we did the eyeball. Your lips are three-dimensional forms in space, meaning that when light hits it, wherever that object is facing the light is going to get the lighter color, and as it turns away from the light, it gets darker. So with that, you can say, all right, so the lips are basically facing the light from the light's coming from in front of her and also above her. So you're going to go ahead and you're going not all the way to the edge, but what you're going to do is you're going to shade the sides, both sides of her lips. Because what's happening is the lips are being affected by the light, and so what's not facing the light is going to be darker, what's facing the light is going to be lighter. And you're just going to lightly shade. Hey, Pink Lady, how you doing? Oh, I'm so sorry about that. Maybe next time we'll do someone different. And what we're going to do is we're just going to shade this bottom part, not on the top part there. And you do your circular motions like that. And also remember, just like the egg, there's detail inside your shadows. So this is basically doing a, if you were going to do lips out of your head, okay? Now, as you go in, you could say, as you say, as you work, you want to go darker and you go lighter, and so we can actually go darker a little bit. The more you shade, like the more you go over something with pencil, it's like a transparent color. As you put light transparent, let's say acetate, like film on top of it, it gets darker and darker. And that's the same thing once you go over something with the pencil, and then you go over it again, it gets darker. Then you go over it again, it gets darker. And that's the nature of working with pencil, And then what we're going to do is we are just going to, again, with this circular motion, and you want to try and, with the toilet paper or with the stump, whatever you have, you want to try and be as smooth as possible. You want to create smooth gradations of tone. Now over here, you have her lips, and then you can basically say, okay, I darkened the upper lip, so now I can go ahead and then slightly darken this light area. Not as dark as this, but remember, the lighter the... One of the things when you're drawing, you want to hold the pencil further out. You don't want to hold the pencil all the way. You don't want to hold the pencil like this. You want to train yourself to hold the pencil out like this. Because when you hold the pencil like this, you can actually really be extremely light with your application. Now you can go ahead and choke down and then go with more pressure. But when you want a light pressure, you just hold it back here like that. And then you just very lightly add value. And so, as always, whenever you put down value, you want to just go ahead and ever so lightly there you go. So now you see things are starting to get darker, stuff like that. So let me see what's going on in Facebook. Okay. There we go. All right. Now, so let's go back to Facebook. And so remember right here, you darkened the center, so you want to go ahead and just go ahead and smooth that out, just like that. And then off to the edges, you can go ahead and smooth that out. Now when you want it to be lighter when you blend, you definitely want to put less pressure. Less pressure is going to be less value. More pressure means more value or darker. So more pressure to darker. So this is just our practice one, and right after this we're going to go in with our Gal Gadot one. Okay, so now this is a fun part. What you can do is that there are always highlights on the lips. which is really good. Always highlights on the lips. So let's see, Natalie has a question. She says, trying to smudge with my finger. Yes, and I'll tell you, it's not a bad move. It's not like terrible, Natalie, but when you use your finger, remember your finger has oils. And hey, Wendy, how's it going? So it has oil. Sorasit, good to see you, my friends. Those are my friends over there on YouTube who are watching. And Tony, what's up, my friend? Good to see you. So if you use your finger, there's oils, Natalie, and that's going to really mess with the surface. And it might not give you problems all the time, but it'll give you problems enough that you will be you won't do it again, you know. So Sorasit all the way from Scotland, good to see you, my friend. So now we can just do our eraser, and we can go ahead and put in some nice highlights, just like that. We can put in some highlights here. So really, you really can get some really nice effects just by doing lips out of your head, so to speak. You know, without any lips, you know, to mind. Or even like you just drew some lips and now you can do it. So now we're going to do lips that are very similar. As you see, if you go to Facebook, you'll see right there. Oh, I'm so sorry you're not feeling good, Wendy. You take care of yourself, okay? Thanks for being here. So now that's going to be the lips. I want you to go ahead. You can watch this video. It will be up, so you can go ahead and look at it later and do it over again. So I want you to practice doing lips out of your head. Very important. Now we're going to get into a lot more structure as to drawing lips, okay? Now we're going to worry about anatomy and stuff like that. Now if you have rulers, I think everyone has rulers, but if you don't, it's not the end of the world. So what I want you guys to do, guys and girls, is, let me go over here, is I want you to do a line that's 4 inches long. Okay. And it doesn't have to be super straight, it just has to be 4 inches long, but just like that. That would be good. Yes, so Sorasit, yes, understanding the basic laws of light always helps, and that's always, you know, so I think last week we did an egg, so hopefully that brought everyone up to clear everybody up. So now we can go ahead and do that egg, which is going to be, you know, do these lips, we're going to be very good. All right, so let me get my picture of Gal Gadot's lips over here. There we go. Now, let me see, make sure that you guys can see this well. Now what you want to do is you want to go ahead, and if you don't have a ruler, just make sure you go ahead and put a line right in the middle and a line right at each end, okay? That would be pretty cool. So that's the first step. And the first step is we're going to paint the upper lip first, okay? Now, what I like to do is, just as where the upper lip is, I want you at the corner, and I want you to look at the Gal Gadot's lips if you can, is that it usually always sort of fans out at the corners like that. Exactly. Always master the fundamentals, Sora said. Very true. So you're just going to do that, and that's going to help a lot. Now, once that is done, you'll realize that with the lips, a lot of times, the lips sort of bow out. They don't always go straight in a straight line. So what I'm going to do is I am going to I'm sort of painting the negative shapes, or drawing the negative shapes right now. See that, how it's sort of like a wave, that in the center it comes up and goes down. And remember, the wave, the apex, is very close to the center, and then it sort of comes down like that, like a bow and arrow almost, right? Exactly. The rest actually does exactly. It's all practice makes perfect. Practice seeing and remembering the fundamentals. Very true, Somerset. Very good comments. And let's see here. Okay, so you see how that bows out like that. So that should help. Let me go ahead and see if I can actually... No, if you guys go on my Facebook page, you'll see that you can download this photo. So that would really help. So go ahead and do that. If not, you could always do that later and just follow along. But it's still the same principles of doing a pair of lips out of your head. Same principles are applying. Okay. So once that is done, the lower lip is basically, now her lips are slightly parted. So what you're going to do is you're sort of going to follow along here, almost parallel. Now almost parallel is very important. Not quite parallel, but almost parallel. And we're not even painting the lips, we're painting the spaces in between those lips, okay? So remember, this is 4 inches, it goes out just a little bit, and here's the center. It bows up closer, way closer to the center, and then sort of goes out towards that straight line that we did earlier, okay? Now once that is done, what I want you to do is I want you to go ahead and shade this in. Sometimes the negative shapes are just as important as the positive shapes. Remember that. They're always equally important to find the correct drawing or painting or proportions. So this is what you want to end up with, something like that, okay? Now, remember you have your center line. Remember you did your center line? And then you see how this is bowing up like this? Just before it bows up, I would say equidistant from the center, you want to do 2 lines that are coming up. And you want it to be, I would say, twice as high as this here. So you figure twice as high. And from the center, I want you to just do like a circle. See that? As if you were doing a circle from the center. Now that's, believe me, it's gonna work. This is something it's gonna come together. And let's see what's going on in Facebook. Any questions? Nope, no questions yet. That's cool. And remember, ask questions whenever you have them. I'm here to help you guys out. This is a free art lesson just for you guys who are guys and girls who are stuck in the house. And maybe this will be a little bit of fun on a Saturday night. Not the fun that most people are used to. Am I right? I know. And then just going to bring that down. Not quite in a straight line. Maybe just bowing in a little bit. Just like that. And you see how we connect that. And we're not going to get too specific. We're just constructing these lips. That's what we're doing right now. It's just a construction. And then what we can do is we can just start to shade in these lips. Not as dark as this, of course. And then just with your toilet paper. Let me get some toilet paper. I'll do it the way you guys are doing it. And I just like to take the TP and do circular motions. Make sure I don't blend into the dark there. And you'll get better at this. But you see, just like that. Now once that's done, then you say, oh wow, I can definitely darken the dark that I have, and you can go ahead and darken that up. Of course, that's the space between the upper and lower lip. But that's a shape right now, so that's how you're looking at this, just as value shapes. And of course, you just take your TP, and if you blend out or you go too far, you can just erase that. No problem, no big deal. Easy. Okay. So I want you to still keep your center line, because that's really going to help you. The two edges, keep them there very lightly. So remember, you have this shape here, right? And then you have the lips. So what you could do is you could measure it from the center part of the lips down to where the part of the lips are. So that's about 3/4 of an inch. So I would say if I did this like an inch, yeah, maybe not quite as double. I would, yeah, okay, we'll go double. So that would be an inch. We'll go by like 1.5 inches, like, let's say that. Maybe a little bit less. Yeah, that seems a little big. So maybe about 1 inch. And what we're going to do from the center, and you always got to eyeball it, and that's, you know, one of the things you always have to do, because if you can measure it, but then if it just doesn't look right to your eyes, you can go ahead and adjust it. So we have our center coming here, and we have our corners. Now the funny thing with her lips is that, like I said, they come from the center down, not like a complete circle. So they come out straight, probably where this curve is here, the highest point of the bow there, is where it starts going up at a sharp angle. Now if we're looking at, when we're always drawing, we're always looking at what angle, and I always go by the clock, right? That's 9. So looking at her lips there, what angle is that? I would say that is, so this is 1, this is 2. I would say in between 1 and 2. So that's exactly the angle of this lip of where it would be. Now same thing on the other side. That's right, TP is very valuable now, but you know, that's okay. And money's no object when it comes to art, right, Denise? And then we're just going to pull up. And again, we're looking at that angle, right? So what angle is going on here usually is reciprocated on the other side, especially someone who is, you know, classically good looking or has classical features. They have symmetry. So if it's between 1 and 2 on this side, then it's going to be between 10 and 11 on this side. So when you go to art school, exactly, art for art's sake. And I wonder who art is anyway. And so as I'm doing this, it's going to be the opposite on this side. But remember, we're not doing a point like this. There's a large, almost straight line in the middle there. And that's why it works. So just like that, looks really large, and it just might be, but we're going to double check. And we're just going to be continuing to adjust as we go, because that's very important to always adjust as you go. You want to do that. So that's cool. So what we want to do is continue our shading. And remember, the upper lip is always darker than the lower lip unless there's like some weird lighting situation, or they have some weird lipstick going on. It's always going to be the upper lip has more shadow and then us darker, you know. I know, Cheryl, I was thinking about doing an inch from, but I decided approximately double of this is going to be where you do the size of the lip. Approximately. Maybe a little bit less. Because I was going to measure it, but, you know, I didn't think that was a little too exacting. Now, we're going to go ahead and go back to here, and we're going to lightly shadow the whole thing. We're going to put a lot less pressure than we put up here. Now these are just basic art lessons that I'm doing for free while we're every Saturday night while we're under the the lockdown, or the shelter in place, whatever we call it. And I just want to do these free art lessons that are for everybody, not just for artists. Anyone who can just pick up a piece of paper and a pencil and with an eraser, and that's all you need. Okay, so you see we just very lightly, not as dark as we did on the upper lip. So we're just going to, hey Willie, how's it going, my friend? Good to see you. Willie's in the house. Okay, so you see now we did the lower lip, and nice and smooth. But that just tells me one thing, that we have to darken things up. Yeah, Denise has wine. That's good. I have green tea, so not as exciting as wine, that's for sure. I hope you feel better there, Wendy. So we're going to darken things up from the darkest dark in between to the upper lip. And then what we're going to do is we're just going to darken this up. Remember, more pressure means darker application of pencil. Less pressure, doing it lightly, holding it further back, there's going to be a lot lighter application of pencil. So if you want it darker, you choke up on the pencil and you put more pressure, it'll make it darker. So that is the best way to do it. So always remember those. Those are really good. Oh yeah, me too, Cheryl. I eyeball it all the time. Now, Cheryl says from the bottom or top of the center line. Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, I don't want to go ahead and I was going to do inches and stuff, but I figured people with the rulers. But I would say this spot right here is about half of what the lower lip is. Okay, so this would be like 1 unit of measurement, and this would be like 2 units of measurement. Okay, I hope that helps. And as you go, I always want you to clean up everything, clean up your lines, everything like that. And of course, like you said, we were going to darken the shadow between each lip here. And as you go, you want to continue drawing and continue saying to yourself, where can I make it sharper? Where can I fix the drawing? You're always fixing the drawing as you go. Now earlier we did a lip where it was just like a stereotypical lip with not much individual things going on. And now you can see there's a lot of individual things happening here. A lot of, how do you say, very individual. Before it was general shapes, now it's very individual shapes that are just very particular to Gal Gadot. And so as we're going, we are just looking for the actual shapes and getting more refined as we go. Just like that. And you put more pressure, and of course you come back with the TP or a stump, whatever you have. And you can circular motion. Now looking at this, I can see that it's darker as we go further towards the corners of the mouth. Now why is that? Same thing. The light is coming from the front and up high. So as the lips turn away, they get darker. They're turning away from the light, so the upper lip is going to get darker as it turns away from the light. So those circular motions there. And you can do a regular number 2 pencil, it really doesn't matter. But as you get more and more refined and you keep looking, then it's more like painting someone's individual lips. Before it was just a general lips that you can do from your head. So it's a little bit different, actually a lot different. So now you can see we are getting a lot more specific here. Now, as far as the bottom lip, right? Now, with her bottom lip, just as before, there's a cast shadow. But the cast shadow pretty much disappears as it goes towards the top of her lip there. So right about here, it disappears. Now it just doesn't disappear harshly, it just fades, but doesn't reach all the way to the corner of the mouth. So that's something to really pay attention to. Same thing here. It reaches almost to the top, but fades right about here. And as you're working on as you're always working on different shapes, you always want to check your angles. So I can check the angles and see that it comes a little straight line here. There's a cute little point on her lip there. And then it comes out and then up. Okay? So you're getting more refined and as you are doing different shapes. So it's sort of like working with clay. Now if you look at the space or the size of the cast shadow, it's almost the same as that dark in between the 2 lips there. At its center point, right about here. And then it sort of gets real thin and sort of tapers off right there. Here, it stays thicker and comes out right about there, just like that. So that's your cast shadow. So you do your form shadows and your cast shadows. Cast shadows is the lower lip is casting a shadow, now blocking the light and casting a shadow on her little chin area. And then Remember, we're going to be as dark as that. You want to look at your values, and when values are so important, because when you look at values, it's not just saying, okay, this is dark, that's light. When you start working, you ask yourself, is this cast shadow as dark as this upper lip? You're like, no, it's darker. Is it as dark as the space in between the lips? And then you say, yeah, it's exactly the same. So that's how you gauge what value to do. Is it darker than the lower lip? Of course. So that's how you gauge how dark or how light you go. And as you go throughout the drawing process, you get darker or lighter, and you basically have more to work from. You have more reference as far as different things, or is it darker or lighter than those things? And that really helps you to get the value. Remember, what value is basically how dark that shape is between white and black. How dark is it in between? Is it closer to white or is it closer to black? Okay, so you see that's pretty cool. And oh, I'm so sorry you're not feeling good, and I'm glad that you're not in pain right now, thank God. So that's good. I just can't wait until you're 100% again. And we're just gonna use, you can use the stump, you could use toilet paper, it doesn't matter. So now you see we have the cast shadow. So no headache is a very good thing. And remember, it is it blends out, right? It's not a hard line. So what you can do is you can erase it and then just lightly use the toilet paper and sort of blend that up. See that? And then you get this nice gradation. There we go. Yes, TP, Steve. I hear they got a lot of toilet paper over there in Illinois. Is that true, or is that a horrible rumor? And as we are, working with the lower lip, now we have to say, okay, so we have the lower lip. Now we have to look at the structure of the lower lip, right? And ask ourselves, is it darker on one side or lighter on the other side? And those are the questions we want to ask. Oh, so you guys have enough. All right. So, there's a lot of leaves out back. I can always get a leaf. I just got to make sure it's not poison ivy, right? Because that would be a whole nother ball game. So, as you see on this side of her lip, sort of her lips, there's like this edge part, this sort of thin sort of edge part of her lips, and then the plumpier part of her lips are like much smaller than the lips themselves. See here? So see how they are sort of, the plumpy part is almost inside the lip area. Then we're just going to lightly shade both sides. And when drawing anything, whatever attention you give to one part of the lip or one part of the drawing, you always want to make sure you pay attention to the other part of the drawing. And so cool to see you as always, Steve. Next time, could you bring some toilet paper for us? Oh my God, that would be itchy. Okay, so you see I'm applying just a little bit of graphite or pencil there, and then little circular motions. I'm just going to darken this part of her lip. So you see it's darker on both sides, right? And then in the center it's lighter. And now, but it's not just doing that, but also paying attention to the shapes, right? That's what we have to do. You have to pay attention to the shapes. See how it comes out here and it's like much thinner? That's what I want you to really see, the shapes and the value at the same time. Those two things. Hey, take it easy, Steve. Always great to see you. Hopefully see you on Wednesday for part 2. And keep doing those amazing paintings. Yes, drawing is the probity of art. That's what I'm gonna say. A good drawing is a good painting is 85% drawing. And also it's a little darker on the top here. Not as dark as the upper lip or this really dark area. Just a little darker over here. And then we're just going to use our TP. So I want you guys to practice these lips on your own and just play around and, you know, have fun. And I think that's, you know, of course you're going to be more refined. This is just a very quick tutorial on my approach to drawing or painting lips for that matter. And then as you go, you're going to get more and more refined. Now, in the future, you guys want to get different pencils. So, pencils have different grades, and I always recommend getting a 6B woodless graphite. And what that is like the darkest you want to go as far as pencils without it getting too soft. So watch this with the woodless graphite 6B. Now I'm going to go ahead and just start putting in this dark here, which is much darker than the F lead that I had in my mechanical pencil. That's right, we do need you around to make that cake there, Wendy, that's for sure. So you see, as I come in with the 6B, I want you guys to do that eventually, and that will enable you to get really rich darks. So that's for the future. And I'm going to continue doing these drawing lessons. I think next week I'm going to do the nose, which is going to be really cool. So you guys are going to really enjoy that. I just finished my matcha tea, and that was really incredible. I hear it's good for you, too. You guys out there, you guys think it's good for you? Or is it a lot of hooey? And as you can see, we're just shaping her lips. And of course, coming back with our TP. Chocolate cake, oh my goodness, that's really good. Does that help with your headaches? Chocolate gives me a headache, actually. If I have chocolate the next morning, I usually have a headache. Isn't that weird? Just little by little, you're refining. So let's say you're working and, okay, that's sort of blending together. Just darken up that dark that you saw earlier. You can just darken it up. But as you're darkening, you can look at the shape and you say, hey, towards the center, it gets really thin. So let me go ahead and thin it out as it goes to the center here. Oh, Cheryl, green matcha tea. Green tea with matcha or something like that. It was really good. Actually, it was amazing. And I'm definitely going to go buy more. I mean, it tastes good. I'm actually trying to get off of coffee. I've been drinking too much coffee since this pandemic. I've literally been going through like 2 pounds like within a week and a half, and that's not healthy for anybody. Hey Kent, how's it going? And Jen, good to see you guys. So you guys are playing Yahtzee? Is Jen kicking your butt? Jen, go easy on Kent, okay? Oh, are you listening to your really incredible Cuban music, Ken? So Kent is a very amazing airbrush artist and just a overall great person. And him and his wife Jen. And oh, you're up 1-0. Oh my God. Okay, Jen, don't go easy on him anymore. And him and his lovely wife live in Minnesota. So and Kent was one of the artists who actually got me really involved in airbrushing. He did this portrait of Pink that was just out of this world. Oh, great, David. I'm so glad that you learned a lot. And that's what it's all about. Not so much of how this comes out and everything like that. Just something that you guys can do at home and take it easy. Hey, Doris, how's it going? And just hang out, during this whole craziness that we're going through and, get our minds off of it, get our minds off the news, right, Doris, And so that's what we're hoping for. And you see it's darker in the center. And you can just make it darker in the center. And you just sort of, working as you go. Hey, Milan, how's it going? How's everything? Cleveland, great city. So that's cool. So we have Cleveland in the house. So that makes me happy. So we got the Midwest happening here. We got some Midwest flavor. We just had Steve from Illinois. And we have Kent and Jen from Minnesota. And now Milan from Cleveland. So cool. And we had Sora Sid all the way from Scotland. So how great is that? Oh man, see, Jen's not taking it easy on you anymore there, Ken. Sorry about that. That's so cool. I'm glad you guys are having a good time. Because the best enjoyment is spending time together. And so now comes the fun time. And the fun part, I think, and sort of the end of the whole lesson, is that you want to get a kneaded eraser. If not, you can use the back of your pencil eraser. And you want to go ahead and do some highlights. Now the highlights are going to be not so much in the center, maybe 3/4 up. And you're just going to just do a... Now these shapes, they can't be equidistant. So you have to do like a big one, then a skinny one, then, maybe do one a little bit lower, maybe one that's wide. Do you see that? How you are going to go ahead and stagger that. Because in nature, very rare is anything even. As people, we want to make things even, right? So that's where we go wrong. And we're just doing these highlights, just like that. And it sort of gives the feeling of moisture on her lips and the texture of the lips, very smooth, So Catherine says, watching my... Oh, yes, Catherine from Belgium. That's right. So we have an international flavor going on here, which is fantastic. And I really enjoy this, and I really hope this helps you guys and just get you guys drawing again and just get involved and have a good time and come every week, because I'm going to be giving these free drawing lessons every week. Now I have a YouTube channel, and that is Painted Glyphs 333 or Timothy John Luke Smith at YouTube, so go ahead and subscribe there. I have a lot going on there, as well as tutorials in Airbrush. That's my main thing. Every week I do an Airbrush portrait tutorial or demonstration. And then I also do computer graphics demonstrations and tips as well. So very cool. Oh wow, we got Canada here. So great, Cheryl. And Cheryl was here the last couple of weeks, so it's always a pleasure to see Cheryl, and thank you always for for joining this, and you know, and just making the live streams richer. You know, your the regulars and coming by is really what makes it, you know, this stuff even more special. And so as you see, it's not just, this is just a basic demonstration, but you can see, then you could get even more detailed, right? So you could see that there's a slight reflected light from the lower lip reflecting up to the bottom of the upper lip. Just little things like that. But get the whole... Oh, Willie, you picked up the tablet. Did you get the Huion 1060p? So yes, so Huion is doing that. That's fantastic. So Natalie says, what is this white thing you're using for highlights? Oh no, this is just a kneaded eraser. And you can pick them up in any art store or, you know, any art supply website. And you just, they call kneaded because you can knead them into little points. And that helps a lot. Sometimes you can just go ahead and cut down that value with the TP, but if you can't, then you could dust over that with a pencil. Remember, you hold the pencil from further away. Oh, great! So Willie, I'm going to send you some stuff. We're going to get you going with that, and download Krita. That's krita.org, and we're going to get you going with. Well, I'm going to get you past all the complicated stuff you can deal with later. I'm going to get you to have fun with that right away. So that's exciting. And I'm going to shoot you an email tonight, go over everything with you. So Natalie says, oh, thought it was a white charcoal or something. Yes, because it was making such light because of the dark, how dark the lower lip is. When I erase, it really looks like I'm coming in with white paint, because it's always, the color next to it is always so important as to how something looks, either light or dark. Now Cheryl says, the white highlight on the bottom lip, how do I get that so white? It's the white of the paper, but this, I made the dark lips so dark that the white of the paper really looks really sharp. So my next tutorial in Airbrush is going to be on Wednesday night at 9:30. And so definitely come by there, Milan. And don't worry, I'm always going to have it recorded so you can watch it next day. And that's going to be part 2 of painting the portrait in Airbrush with emotion. So that's going to be a lot of fun. Oh yes, the Ticonderoga pencil eraser. Yeah, that is rough. And so, you know, do what you can with what you have right now, and as you go, you know, as you continue with the free art lessons and drawing, you'll get better and better. And Kent says, we all know this, but it bears repeating. Tim is, oh, thank you, my friend. Ah, I appreciate that. Ah, thank you, Kent. That means the world to me, my friend. Definitely. One of the things I was a regular classical artist. I worked in oils and pastel and everything like that for many years. And then I would say about 7 to 10 years ago, I started picking up the airbrush. And I'll tell you one thing about airbrush people. That's probably the coolest bunch of people you ever met in your life. It's a really nice community, and it's like a small town, although the airbrush artists are all over the world, right, Kent? And it's really something special. And that feeling of community when I actually got into airbrush is what I was looking for in other areas of the art world. So people like Kent, you know, who basically I was just this newbie, and I could ask him. He was in magazines and all these other, you know, I mean, he was everywhere. This guy, I go into Hobby Lobby and there I see his face. You know, he has a disc of how to paint T-shirts. I mean, literally, Kent's everywhere. Yet I was able to ask him a question, and he was just really kind and you know, really helped me to like really want to learn this. And It's that really beautiful, how do you say, just that really beautiful community that really struck me and keeps me really excited about airbrush. Denise says she went to school with Tim. Always serious, even in high school. Yes, about art. I'm always serious. About everything else, not so much. Has anyone ever known me in my regular jobs? Serious in regular jobs, not so much. With art, it's art is a jealous mistress. Art doesn't allow you to put too much energy into another job or anything like that. And I think it's always been in my life. It's been rough. Oh my God, Dawn, how you doing? Dawn, we used to work at Friendly's when we were kids together, and Dawn is amazing. I did a painting of Dawn, right? Dawn posed for me 100 years ago. No, Dawn's too young. So it was only 5 years ago. And Natalie is also, I worked with Natalie back when we were all so young. And Joan is Natalie's mom, and she says that I'm Mr. Detail. I guess I could say I'm guilty of that. That's for sure. Now, when you have, the means to go ahead and go darker, you can definitely use your 6B, and that's a woodless graphite 6B. I want you to pick up, and so I miss you, Dawn. Definitely. Dawn, now you live near me. Do you work out at 24 Hour Fitness? Because I do, and I think I heard that you used to work out there. Is that true? Of course, the gyms are closed, Okay, here's a quick quiz for you, Dawn. What were you holding in the painting that I did of you? Let's see if you can remember. Let's see how Dawn's memory is. See if I left an impression. And Dawn was so elegant, Dawn is still so elegant, and she was always elegant. And so, but Dawn, you didn't answer my question. What were you holding? Yes, exactly. Very good. So I left an impression. So that's good. I gotta find that painting, at least a photograph of that painting, Dawn. Definitely. That was a pastel painting. Oh my God. I'll tell you, that's just good memories, and I guess that's good. When you give of your time like I am giving to you guys out there, let's draw some lips. I get so much back. Everything you send out comes back. Yes. Oh, Joni, always miss Joni. Joni's fantastic, and so love Joni. And so I get so much back by you guys hanging out with me and talking with me and really making this just a really fun Saturday, New friends, old friends, it always comes back. So here's a good thing. Remember, lips are translucent, right? They're sort of very thin skin and everything like, hey, what's going on, my friend Todd? Good to see you. Oh, wow. From Lynn. Wow, that's fantastic. Oh, my goodness. A lot of people from the past. When we worked at Friendly's back in I'm not even going to say the date, but back when we were such a close-knit group. And so as you see, I'm just very lightly with the kneaded eraser, trying to get some of that translucency here. So I appreciate that, Todd. So what I do is I take my kneaded eraser and I take it like really thin, almost like a thin brush. You see that? And then I'll fold it over, and then I'll just use it like a little brush, and I'll just flap that. And you see what I can do is, yeah, way back when, well, you're only like what, 32, Dawn, so it can't be that far back, right? Is that true? same with same with Joni. We're all young, at least young in our minds, right, Joni? And you see, I'm just brushing that, just getting some of that translucency. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that, Dawn. Dawn says my work's always amazing. I appreciate it. So you see how I'm starting to get that translucency in the lips? And how you do that is you use the kneaded eraser. So I was doing some beginner lessons. Now I'm going to do a little bit of advanced, at least until around 10:30, and then I'll just call it a night. And then you guys just come by on next Saturday at 9. So right now we're just going to get some translucency here in the lips, and if it gets a little too light, you can always come back and darken that up. And this is how you're also going to get a feeling of things going back and things going forward. You know, what type of airbrush do I like to use? Good question. So the airbrush of choice is the Milan, is the Extreme Patriot Arrow. And I, of course, modified this. I got rid of that high trigger thing and put a different needle in. So, yeah, so that's like my airbrush, my go-to airbrush. Oh yes, Flama Degas. Yeah, well, Flama Degas is a very interesting artist. I hear he has a studio in Vienna. Is that true, Joni? I'm pretty sure I seen him. Now the funny thing about Flama Degas is a fictional artist that Joan and I actually made up because we worked. I was a waiter, she was a waitress at Friendly's, and so was Dawn. And on the coffee pot, it said Flama de Gas. And I was like, we were like, wow, that sounds like a 19th century French impressionist. So that's where Flama de Gas came from. I haven't heard that in so long. Too funny. Oh my God. Flama Degas. So if you ever hear about Flama Degas, he's a fictional character. He's not related to Edgar Degas in any way. Oh man, so he was still on the subways. Okay. That's scary. And so little by little, we're getting a little more translucency. And another thing, now a lot of times when you're seeing people paint lips, you're always going to see lines in lips. So I want you to go in the mirror and look at your own lips, and you'll see that there's these lines. They're really sort of like wrinkles, right? But when you do these lines, you have to make sure that the values are very close to that value in the upper lip. So you see how we can do that. It only looks good if the value isn't too dark. If I make that value, remember how dark it is between white and black, and the value, so the value is very close to the upper part of this lip. And so here it's lighter, so the value has to be very close to the lighter part. And that's how those lines actually work. If you go too dark, it won't work. So that's always a very good thing. It's good to do those lines in the lips, but the value has to be very close. Case in point, so let's say I was doing the lines of the lips and I went like this. See, now that starts to look like dark lines, and it doesn't look like, they belong there. And that's why we have to make sure if we do put them in, they're just a little bit darker than the dark around it. Just a little bit darker so they stand out. Now, sometimes they might be just a little bit darker than normal, and you could do that. And remember, what makes something light or dark is usually what color or value is next to it will determine how light or dark it actually looks. Oh, great, Kent. So Kent is going to go stream Life on, Life Afterlife on Netflix. Take care, Kent. And Jen, always great to talk to you. And I know you didn't mention it, so it sounds like Jen won 2 out of 3. Take care, my friend. Enjoy your night, and thanks for stopping by. And so we're just going to extend this light down here. Now, in the beginning of this live stream, I was going over the principles of what makes lips, you know, that the upper lip is darker than the lower lip, that sort of thing. Oh my God, Dawn, your birthday's tomorrow. I missed that. Happy birthday. Take care, Kent. And I hope you have a wonderful birthday, Dawn. And you don't look like you're even remotely close to that age. That must be a mathematical error. It has to be, Dawn. You were never good at math. Yes, you actually were good at math, but not this time. And let's see. Oh, didn't want to do that. Okay. So we can work on the lighter part, then we can go on the darker part, and then we could maybe continue looking at the shapes, making sure the shapes are correct. And so if I look at the reference, I can see that this cast shadow gets really thin and disappears right about here. And so how I can make it blend in, I could use a TP and sort of come up here. Sort of bring that up like that. So Dawn, when I painted you, I was like 19 years old or something like that. 20. I think I was 20 years old. Oh, so it's true Dawn doesn't like math. But you were in the sciences, right? Didn't you go into the sciences? You went to Fairleigh Dickinson College, Fairleigh Dickinson University at first, and then you transferred, if I'm not mistaken. Because you called Fairleigh Dickinson fairly ridiculous. Those were the days. So as you are, hey Dawn, when we all went on that canoe trip, there was so many of us. Yes, you became, that's right. That's science, but not math. Okay, I got you. So it was a couple of years ago, I would say. Just a couple, you know, being how young I am, Willie, you know. Of course, I'm not good at math, evidently. So we all worked at Friendly's. What's been about 15 of us, maybe something like that, 10 of us, and we all went on this canoe trip, and it was in September, and it was my first and last camping trip in my life, and oh my God, that was I've never felt so cold on that darn canoe, and it was a drought that year, so the canoes kept hitting land, and we all had to get out and move the canoes and and get in the water. It was like the most craziest experience ever. And we always remember it was on Kelly's birthday. So anyway, that was pretty cool. So as you can see, little by little, we're just refining those lips, and that's what you want to do. You have your reference, so you start out very broadly, and then you refine as you go. Let's see how these lips are looking. And of course, you can always, raining and cold, yes. September 17th. I remember that. That's warm a lot of years, but not that year. And you see, I'm just cleaning up things as I'm going, and that's what you want to do. You want to clean up a lot of the values. And you can also see that over here, it's a little more translucent. And remember, you can take the kneaded eraser, and there's a little more advanced techniques. So between this week and next week, I want you guys to order some kneaded erasers, okay? You can get them from anywhere. It's a kneaded eraser, Kneaded, kneaded, and they're real inexpensive. So what I'm doing is I'm just going to very lightly do some of the translucency in these lips. And it's a little bit lighter up here. Now, if this was airbrush, this would be like incredibly quicker. It would be so much faster. But drawing, everyone has. Not everyone has an airbrush. So that's why I want to do these. And everyone has a pencil. Everyone has some. How do you say? Everyone has a pencil, some inkjet paper, an eraser. So David says, sorry, have to check out. Great lesson. Thank you. Oh, thank you so much for hanging out with me, David. And I hope to see you Wednesday, and that's Wednesday at 9:30 Eastern Time. So that would be great. So Cheryl says that she loves camping and could live in the bush. Wow. They were out on ATV quads today. Still a bit of snow. Wow, how cool is that? See, I'm such a city person, and, not a good thing because, I'm just not an outdoors guy. I was looking for the remote control when I went camping, it was really bad. Okay, great. A list of pictures. Okay, that would be cool. Now, pictures of me when I was a kid. Oh my goodness. I don't know about that, Denise. I was a pretty funny looking young person, even more funny looking than I am now. As you see, I'm getting a little more detailed with this shadow on the sides on both lips. And of course, there are like little lines in the lips. And when you do those lines, you want to make sure that you always... Oh, the pencils that I use. Yes, I definitely should. I'm definitely going to do that. So on my Facebook page, I'm going to have a link. So if you want to look during the week, I'm going to have a link of all the different pencil supplies that I use. So that would be cool. Or you can just go ahead and email me and I'll send you that link, okay? So here's my email address. So paintingclips@gmail.com. I'll send you. I did have a big head. No, I had lots of hair. That's what it was, Denise. I had a lot of hair and I didn't know how to control it, and no one taught me how to control it. And that was bad. And I also think I had a small body, and that didn't help matters either. So I kind of grew into my head. Oh, yes, I love that picture, Dawn. Definitely. Yeah. Right now, if I tried to put on a pair of pants from that time, I wouldn't get it past my one knee. That's how, you know, how skinny I was. We were all so skinny, my God. Now I gain weight walking by a pizzeria, you know? Hey, John, how's it going? Good to see you, my friend. How are you? Yes, I weighed like, when I started high school, I was in the hospital and I weighed like 98 pounds when I just got out of, when I just, my sophomore year of high school. Then I bulked up to 119 before college. Yeah, right, Dawn? That's how I feel. I've been staying away from Sicilian pizza here in New Jersey, and everyone knows who's from Jersey how good Sicilian pizza here. So if I bought Sicilian pizza, I would probably eat most of the square. There would probably be a very small quadrilateral or something like that left. Most of the square would be eaten by me. Walking by cake. Oh, that's true, Wendy. Definitely. Okay, guys. So that's basically it. So that would be, drawing the lip. Next week, we're gonna draw the nose, and just some different things about the nose, some principles about the nose. So remember, when you are drawing the mouth. So in the beginning, this is more of your stereotypical mouth. You know, the upper lip is always lighter than the lower lip, right? But then when we get more specific, you'll see that it's a lot more complicated. And so you go ahead and do a lot of these general principle lips, right? But as you do that, I want you to get some photographs and then just go ahead and do some more specific lips. And look at different lips, look at lips in the mirror. I know you guys are not going to look at lips again. So the same way. So no, you're going to look at lips again. But, oh no, I don't want you to have a migraine. Definitely not. So you take care of yourself, Wendy. And thank you, Dawn. I really appreciate that. And I had a fun time doing some lips with you guys. And it's not really about anything but just getting our minds over this craziness. So next week, 9 o'clock on Saturday. I really hope to see everybody. And thank you so much for making my Saturday night memorable.